Hi, we have discussed before on the value of friendship and networks and the kind of people that you surround yourself with. But today I want us to just put significance to this discussion about your network, about your friends, and about why your friends matter. And I want to say why your friends matter is because number one, they define a lot of what you hear. Why? Because those are people you spend a lot of time with. And therefore, in the process of spending time with them, they influence you. So they will influence you to their way of thinking, to their way of doing things, to their behavior, and over the long run, to their character. Whereby character takes a bit of time. It's also important because besides influencing you is because you also are learning, or there is a behavior that you adopt simply by association. Somebody asked, why do people who went to a certain school behave the way they do? Why is it that people who went to a certain university behave the way they do or carry themselves around the way they do? It's because of association. And finally, it's because those people form a big part of the perception that other people perceive you with. What do I mean? If I see you with a friend of yours who is drunk in a silly way, I also tend to think, it's normal for a human being to think that you are also equally drunk other times. So it's just turns or tables that have turned, and it's therefore you who is taking care of your drunk friend today who went overboard. So it's important then that we get to interrogate and ask, who am I hanging around? So they say the people you spend a lot of time with, you tend to become like them. So I want to say that the people that you allow into your life is basically the people who you have let into your boat or your ship, for that matter. And I'll borrow from two scenarios. I'll use a biblical example because it defines the power of company. It defines the power of company. And who you have in your boat is best decided or demonstrated when you look at Jesus when he is with his disciples and there's a storm. And of course, at this time the Bible records Jesus is fast asleep. And the waves beat and the oceans or the waters are very cruel. There are waves and tides. And definitely what was happening in the mind of the disciples is that we are sinking, we will perish, we're seeing an end to our lives right in front of our eyes. And at the midst of the panic, they decide to wake up Jesus, to call Jesus from his sleep. And you realize Jesus actually tells them that they had the power only if they had faith. But he actually commands the oceans, the waters, to cool down, to calm down. And therefore the lives of the disciples are actually saved just by the presence of Jesus in the boat. And we see then a very big impact of the kind of people that we allow into our lives, because they are people who come into our life and help us calm the storms in our lives. They are people who come into our lives and they are to go to people in the midst of problems. They are people who come into our lives and you know this person is highly reliable. They are people who, when they are in our lives, I know without a doubt that when this person is in my life, I know they are a resource to me. It should not be selfish. It should be also that you are adding value to them. And therefore we the significance of having that kind of a friend within your boat. The next example is when we look at when Simon Peter has been out in the cold the whole night fishing, and at this time it's getting to early morning and they have not caught a thing. And when Jesus comes in, they have a conversation and he directs them on where to cast the net to get the kind of yield or to get the kind of catch that they had been looking for the whole night. Now, they did not actually anticipate that kind of a catch, because the Bible records that the nets were almost breaking because the catch was too big. Now, that is another aspect of the kind of friend or the kind of people that you need in your life and in your boat. These are people who can cause increase, and these are large extent calls about mentors. These are people who can hold you accountable. These are people who can direct you to come out of a mess. These are people who are not afraid of telling you, go back and try again, because your life or your chance had not come, but now it has come. It has come because you are going to listen to wise words from this person. So the first thing is that you have to allow these people into your life and have them actually being in your boat. Because you can imagine if they say that to Jesus, we do not want you to use our boat. Anyway, we have been out fishing the whole night, we are tired, so go away. Their catch was directly related or associated with them allowing Jesus to actually be their ship or their boat, and for him to say a word and give direction for their lives. Do you have those people in your life who can direct you, who can guide you, who can correct you, who can cause an increase in your life, be it in your career, be it in your marriage, be it in your business? There is that one kind of a person that you know, if I have 10 minutes with this person, it changes my life. So I am deliberate about spending time with those kind of people. And so that we see the reverse or the opposite of this, what this can be, it's pretty obvious that the last person that you can have in your boat is a Jonah. The last person you could have in your boat is a Jonah. And you see, it is better to have a sleeping Jesus in your boat than a Jonah who is awake. You had better have a sleeping Jesus in your boat than a Jonah who is awake. And you see, Jonah are also people who we allow. I'm using the word Jonah in context of the way it appears in the Bible, not as a person, or if you are called Jonah today to feel that you take up a negative space. But you see, Jonah is running away from things, from instructions from God, and finds refuge in a ship. And the only thing that he succeeds to bring to this ship is misery, is death, staring at death, is panic, it's pain, it's agony, it is discomfort, it's unrest. So do you have this kind of friends who are actually a cause of pain and unrest in your life? At times I know we have friends who, when you see their call, you know this is another drama. We have those friends when you bump into them in town, this is drama. It's chaos that I've walked into. So the kind of Jonahs that you allow in your life, you must be deliberate to know when to throw them into the sea. Why? Because unless you let Jonah out of your life, then they are going to be the reason why you get destroyed. You are hanging around friends who are doing drugs. They are going to influence you into drugs and you're going to die with them. Because the people in the ship that Jonah was riding, they had two choices. To either let Jonah stay and they perish together, or to throw off Jonah and they continue safely with their sail. So you have to allow a Jonah out of your life. You have to be willing to say bye-bye to a Jonah. Are these the kind of friends who are negative in the office? Who the only thing they will tell you is how this boss, this employment is difficult, it's hard, it's boring. Those are people who need to let off your ship. Are these people who are even your relatives who are telling you cannot do it? You have to let them off your ship, because otherwise they are looking for a system to sink and they want to sink with you. And remember, they do not know how to swim most probably, so they want to use you to cling on to you, and unfortunately you will die, you will drown, because you cannot carry the weight of an extra person when you swim. So think about the amount of negative influences, the negative people that you have in your life today, the people that you need to bring an end to in terms of that relationship. Not because you don't love them, not because they are not people that you enjoy being around, but it's because the purpose and the vision that you carry, they do not add any value to that purpose. So you have to decide to cut that link, not to become enemies to them, but to actually realize that you are not going the same journey with them, and therefore you have to let them go their journey as you go your journey. So decide who you are letting into your ship today. Decide who you are hanging around. Decide who you want to spend a lot of time with. Decide the kind of friends that you want to have influence with. Decide the kind of a business partner you want to hang around. Decide the kind of colleague who you want to give an ear to. Because it's not everybody who deserves your ear. And as I conclude, purpose to change some of them. Purpose to change your relations with some of these people. Purpose to be different. Purpose to make life different. And remember, it is better to have a sleeping Jesus in your ship than a Jonah who is awake. Hope you find this helpful. And if you do, and if you enjoyed our video, kindly subscribe, share, and turn off the notification button so that each and every time we upload content, it gets to you when it's still hot and sizzling. Thank you.